The question about Jehovah's true identity has been a source of controversy and speculation throughout the centuries, fueled by divergent interpretations and the complexity of sacred texts. The idea that Jehovah could be Satan in disguise challenges conventional notions of Judeo-Christian theology, which presents Jehovah as the just and loving Creator God. However, some arguments point towards a darker interpretation of his figure, suggesting that the actions and commandments attributed to Jehovah in the Bible reflect characteristics that could be more closely associated with the deceiver, Satan. This raises the unsettling possibility that the God worshipped by millions is not who he claims to be, but rather an entity with far more sinister intentions. One of the most disconcerting aspects of the biblical narrative is Jehovah's violent and jealous nature. From the Old Testament, Jehovah is depicted as a God who demands absolute obedience and is willing to punish severely those who deviate from his path. In Deuteronomy 32:39, Jehovah declares, "I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal, and there is none who can deliver out of my hand." This declaration of absolute power and control over life and death might seem, at first glance, like an assertion of divine supremacy, but it also resonates with the description of a being who delights in domination and fear, traits commonly associated with Satan. If Satan is known as the father of lies and the master of deceit, what better disguise could he assume than that of a God who demands blind and total devotion? Moreover, some biblical texts portray Jehovah acting in ways that seem contradictory to the image of a supreme being of goodness. In the book of Job, for instance, Jehovah allows Satan to inflict extreme suffering and loss upon a righteous man, simply to test his faith. Job 1:6-12. The story raises profound questions about Jehovah's nature. Is he truly a God who protects the righteous, or one who, like Satan, sets traps to test and eventually destroy his followers? Such behavior seems to align more with the actions of an adversary than those of a protector. Additionally, in Isaiah 45:7, Jehovah says, "I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create calamity. I, the Lord, do all these things." Here the confession of being the author of both good and evil seems to blur the line between the divine and the demonic. If Jehovah creates both light and darkness, could he not also be the architect of confusion and pain, roles traditionally attributed to Satan? This intrinsic duality in Jehovah suggests that he is not limited to a single moral role, implying a more complex and potentially deceptive nature. Beyond canonical texts, there are strands of thought in some Gnostic traditions that viewed Jehovah as a deceitful deity, a demiurge who keeps humanity trapped in a cycle of ignorance and suffering. These traditions see Jehovah as a being who revels in control and manipulation, creating an imperfect world filled with pain. This depiction of a lesser God claiming to be the one true God resonates with the idea of a deceiver, further aligning Jehovah with the figure of Satan. Ultimately, the idea that Jehovah could be Satan in disguise profoundly challenges the conventional understanding of biblical theology and prompts a fundamental re-examination of beliefs about good and evil. If Jehovah is indeed Satan, then the entire narrative of divine love and salvation becomes a web of deception designed to keep humanity in darkness. This radical perspective invites a critical and reflective reassessment of sacred texts, forcing believers and scholars alike to confront uncomfortable questions about the true nature of the deity they worship. Exploring this possibility not only alters theological understanding, but also redefines humanity's relationship with the divine, inviting a deeper search for truth amidst the ambiguity and mystery surrounding Jehovah's figure. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. And of course, share your experiences in the comments. Together, we can build a strong and positive community. Thank you for joining us on this journey of growth and transformation. See you in the next video.